Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto has a god sealed in him, part 6. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Hajime. Kat was the first to move, charging in from behind him, and to the left with her sword drawn. Once she was halfway there, Bor charged from behind to his right. Bird held his position, and activated his eyes, attempting to place Wolf in A. He was shocked to see a slight glowing from behind the eye holes in the wolf's mask. His mask had a they didn't know about to make the glow look green. Kat was the first to approach, and quickly swung sideways, aiming for his ribs, only for him to disappear. Bor and Kat both stopped, and looked around for a second, only to notice that was standing behind a bird who was also looking for him. Bird could not believe it. He had seen no chakra being molded, and no movement. The small Anbu had simply disappeared. Kat called out that Wolf was behind him just in time for him to jump out of the way off a downward punch, after Wolf jumped at him. The three Anbu were left wide-eyed when a 15-foot wide 3-foot deep crater was left in his wake, and he was once again gone when the dust cleared. When he turned around, he was standing in the same place as he started. The other three were starting to get unnerved. He made no noise, left no indication that he had moved at all other than the crater he left from a punch. They decided to charge him all at the same time. Their teamwork is in perfect sync, leaving no opening. Bor would punch, and Kat would follow with a slash of her sword, while Bird would use kunai and shuriken to fill any holes in the attack, in order to give Wolf no opening. Birds also kept trying to put Wolf in every time their eyes would meet. Wolf dodged everything they threw at him. The three Anbu tried for several minutes like this before Wolf again disappeared. Looking for him, they again found him facing them from his original starting position. His stance suggests that he was not even winded or tired in the least. But Kakashi and the Hokage. As soon as the match began, and Wolf disappeared only to reappear, their jaws dropped. Because even they only saw blur. Kakashi quickly uncovered his Sharingan eye, in order to better keep track of this match. They were unable to pick up their jaws when they saw the crater that Wolf made from just one punch, only for him to blur back to his original position. Kami, he is well on his way to being as strong as Tsunade, thought Hiruzen. Kakashi couldn't even form a coherent thought. But the three Anbu attacked at once, and failed for several minutes to even get a hit. Hiruzen had made up his mind that Naruto was ready for whatever mission he was going to give him. He might even consider using Naruto for some of the more dangerous missions, as backup for when things go wrong. They watched Wolf blur back to his starting position, only this time he was facing toward all three of them. Back to fight. Bird, Bor, and Kat were absolutely stunned. Not even Captain Dog was able to shrug off all three of them like that, and not even be winded. They were seriously considering whether or not they would even be able to hit him, let alone win. His speed is unreal. I can barely even see him with my Sharingan, and he is emitting almost no chakra. That means it's pure speed with no chakra augmentation, thought Bird, as he was trying to figure out a way to win. His strength must be unreal to have made that crater, and not even be winded, even after all three of us went after him, thought Bor. He hasn't even tried to fight back or use any. It's like he is just playing with us. He's only thrown one punch, were Kat's thoughts. Wolf was standing in his original spot, not even a speck of dirt on his cloak. My turn, said the deep voice of the mask. Fuden. Great breakthrough. Wolf didn't even use hand seals. Just a quick swipe of his hand, and a power gust filled with razor-sharp wind blades went flying at the three Anbu. They all jumped out of the way, as quickly as possible. Watching behind them, you would have seen the smaller branches being sliced off the trees. He didn't want to kill them if they didn't move after all. The three quickly realized if he didn't need hand seals for his, then winning at range would be impossible. With a quick nod to each other, the three pelted the area with smoke bombs blanketing the entire R, and making seeing more than a few feet impossible. After which they all went in for a three-way attack. Kat charged through the smoke from Wolf's right, and swung her sword only for it to stop. Bor came from the other side, throwing a right haymaker directly at Wolf's head, and felt his punch connect. Bird came straight on, trying to either use a kunai to get a submission or trap Wolf in A. Bird suddenly stopped when he felt his body lock, and heard only one word. Sleep. The smoke cleared to reveal Wolf holding Kat's sword with 2 fingers about 6 inches from his neck, and blocking the Bor's punch with one hand about 6 inches from his head, while the bird was unconscious 3 feet in front of him. The two conscious Anbu couldn't believe their eyes. He stopped my sword with 2 fingers. That's impossible. Kat screamed in her head. Bor thoughts were similar. He caught my punch with one hand. How? No one has ever been able to do that since I became a Chunin. They then turned to notice the bird was unconscious, face down on the ground. That small distraction was all Wolf needed. He quickly grabbed Bor's fist, and pulled him forward off his feet, and chopped him in the back of the neck, knocking him out all without letting go of Kat's sword. He then pushed the sword back, twisted his body around, and pulled it forward, making her rush past him. On her way, he grabbed the wrist of the hand that was holding the sword, twisting it, so she held her own sword to her own neck, and he was standing behind her. Pulling out a kunai with the other hand, he held it to the other side of her neck. Do you surrender, he asked. Cat responded, knowing she had no way out. But Kakashi and the Hokage. The smoke had just cleared, and neither could believe their eyes. Bird was face down on the ground out cold, and Wolf was holding Cat's sword with 2 fingers, while blocking Boar's punch with 1 hand. Dog knew he might be able to block Boar's punch, not with 1 hand, but he knew there was no way he could catch Cat's sword. No could except maybe the Hokage himself. Hiruzen was having similar thoughts. That was when they watched him knock out Boar, and force the cat to submit. They just added it to the list of amazing things they had seen that day. Hiruzen called the match while the dog woke Boar, and tried to wake Bird, but was unsuccessful. Impressive, Wolf. May I ask what you did to Bird? He won't wake, Hiruzen said. I put him to sleep. It should wear off in a few more minutes, as I didn't put too much chakra into it, he replied. But he is an Uchiha who was using his Sharingan at the time. How did you manage to get past that? Asked Cat, having recovered. Well, Boar and the dog were propping Bird up against a tree. He has weak eyes. Madara himself would be hard-pressed to break one of mine, Wolf explained. This left all of them in shock until Dog remembered something. You knew. You told Bird he could try while already knowing he couldn't do it. Dog said in an accusing voice. Yes, I did. I told you this was a test. Are you finally satisfied that he will be fine on any mission I send him on? Answered a smug-sounding Hiruzen before asking Dog his question in a serious voice. Hi was the dog's only response. Hiruzen then turned to Wolf. What level would you say you were at during the match? They pushed me to about 60%, sir. This again caused the 3 conscious Anbu's jaws to drop behind their masks. They couldn't believe that he still had that much left when they were basically going all out minus using their best. Very good, Wolf. It appears that your training program has been a success. Come with me back to my office. I will give you your mission. Hokage's office. They all arrived back in Sir Toby's office with Bird once again being awake. He was not happy about being told he had weak eyes, but he was not going to argue with a man that put him to sleep while his Sharingan was active. The 3 guards were surprised when they were told to stay along with the dog. They had never been witness to a meeting with Wolf while it was held in the office. Your main mission will be to deliver Naruto Uzumaki to Jiraiya for an inspection of his seal. I know you are probably capable of this yourself, but the Yondame's instructions clearly stated that sometime soon after his 13th birthday, he is to be taken to Jiraiya for this. His instructions said that it would take an undetermined amount of time to make sure it is still functioning correctly. His estimates were between 6 and 24 months. Is that understood? Hi. Wolf responded, knowing he was being given a time limit. You will have several missions to complete while out of the village before bringing Naruto back. Should you finish your other missions early, you will return to Jiraiya and stay with him and Naruto until such time as Jiraiya determines that everything is in order. Here are the scrolls. Open them only after you have made contact with Jiraiya and delivered Naruto. Is that understood? Hi. Please retrieve Naruto Uzumaki. With that, Wolf disappeared in a swirl of wind and reappeared a few minutes later with Naruto in tow the same way. Dog raised an eyebrow at this, knowing that one of them was a shadow clone, but not which. Hiruzen explained the whole thing to Naruto, who the Anbu already knew he was a jinchuriki. Naruto was quite reluctant to go, but after Hiruzen told him he would also be getting training, as that would be part of the seal's inspection, he started to jump up and down and shout about being excited. Dog and Hiruzen just sweat dropped at this, knowing that Naruto was really a wolf and this was a shadow clone, so the whole thing was merely acting. You will be leaving in 1 hour. Here is a scroll with all the supplies that you will need to get to Jiraiya's location. Wolf has been briefed on where to find him. Make sure to say goodbye to anyone you wish to quickly. Thank you, Gigi. I won't let you down. Just you watch, when I come back I will be stronger than you. Said Naruto that they were now sure it was the real one before leaving with Wolf heading toward Naruto's apartment. After a bitter teary and somewhat confusing goodbye to Hinata and a misty-eyed Anko, who tried to play it off as having something in her eye, but he could sense her true emotions, he was walking towards the gate, keeping up the act of being excited to leave the village for the first time. The gate guard looked at the mission scroll and checked the 2 out while watching them walk away from the village. Deep in the secret compound, a scarred, one-eyed man was sitting behind a desk when a man with a blank Anbu mask appeared in the room. He looked up from his paperwork to see who it was. This man was Danzo, the leader of Root. Report, the figure said. Our agent watching the gate just reported that Naruto Uzumaki has just left the village with Wolf. Wolf is reported to be taking Naruto Uzumaki to Jiraiya for an inspection of his seal and possible training to control the Kyuubi. The Root agent reported in a completely emotionless tone. How long ago did they leave? Danzo asked. They left approximately 25 minutes ago, the blank mask responded. Danzo thought it over for a minute. This could be the perfect opportunity for me to get my hands on that boy. If I can kill Wolf and capture the boy, I should still be able to force him to submit to training. The only real question is how strong is that man? Hiruzen never lets him go on combat missions, and none of the other villages know about the boy being yet otherwise he would have sent someone like Dog and Cat. Yes, I think this could work, he mused. Gather 20 agents for a special assignment. You have 1 hour. Hi Danzo-sama. With that the masked man disappeared in a swirl of leaves. 1 hour later Danzo was standing in front of 20 agents with blank Anbu masks. Your mission is to kill Anbu Wolf and bring me the Kyuubi Jinchuriki Naruto Uzumaki. You will not fail. I will have my ultimate weapon. Go root. Hi Danzo-sama chorused 20 emotionless voices before Danzo found himself in an empty chamber. On the road. Naruto was wondering how long he would have to keep up this charade. His own shadow clone was really starting to annoy him by acting like he did in public when he wasn't with Anko, Hinata, or one of his other friends from the academy. He had switched with the clone so he wouldn't have to pretend to be stupid anymore. They were about 3 hours out of the village when he felt he was being followed. He knew right away it was Root, as there were no emotions coming from them. He was pretty sure he counted 20, and Kurama confirmed. They seemed to be keeping their distance for now, which unnerved him. He knew that Danzo was the one who commanded these drones, but he didn't know what their purpose was being here. Although he had a good guess. He decided to wait them out for a few hours, and see if they continued to follow. As night drew near he stopped for the night to make camp, and had his regular clone of himself go to sleep while he kept watch. He could feel them slowly closing in, as the night got later. He now knew for sure they were planning an ambush. They may not have emotions, but he could also sense intentions, and all but 2 were aimed at killing him. The other 2 seemed to be wanting something in his tent. He quietly dispelled his clones so they wouldn't find anything, and pretended to doze off waiting for them to make their move. He was only kept waiting for an hour. Suddenly one dropped down to his right without making a noise, sword in hand. The rest dropped in at this time also just in case he was playing them. The first one swung for his throat. A sharp ting was heard through the small clearing. Naruto had used the Asur path to change his finger to solid metal. The Anbu simply looked, and his finger held the blade 3 inches from his throat. His deep mask voice sounded. I was wondering when you would show yourselves. Don't bother looking for the boy. He is well hidden from the likes of you. The 2 roots who were nearest the tent looked in to see that Naruto was indeed gone. The leader spoke up from the middle of the group. You 2 find that, he said pointing at the 2 that had looked in the tent, he can't be far. We will take care of Wolf. Wolf just chuckled a little before disappearing from their view, and reappearing behind the 2 members who were instructed to look for Naruto. Quickly slicing their throats with a kunai, he asked, does anyone else want to look for Naruto? The root members might have been scarred if they had any concept of fear. As it was, they simply attacked. Wolf dodged left and right avoiding the first, and used his Anbu sword that he had taken to carry him, and started to slice through the large group. They had no hope. They had their true potential taken, as emotions were the key to true strength. Naruto quickly cut the group's numbers to 1. The one who had spoken, and was obviously the leader. He put his sword away, and addressed him. For what purpose do you want Naruto? Silence. Fine. We will do this the hard way. With that Wolf removed his mask to reveal he was Naruto. The root agent had no reaction. Naruto activated his Shinomi, and asked again. This time the root agent started to answer before his throat suddenly closed off, and his hands flew to his throat. Naruto rushed him trying to knock him out before anything could happen. Unfortunately, it was too late, and the root agent passed away. Naruto started to investigate the body, and found that a seal had activated in the man's mouth that killed him. He couldn't tell what it was supposed to do exactly because it was mostly destroyed by its activation. He decided to check the other bodies, and sure enough all of the others had it as well. For what he could tell, if they said the wrong thing it would kill them. Must be how Danzo ensures their loyalty, and makes sure nothing ever leaks out, he thought. After his investigation, he piled the bodies, and destroyed them with the fire, leaving only their masks, and moved to another clearing a few miles away to finish the night, leaving a shadow clone to keep watch. Council chambers next day. Hiruzen was bored out of his mind. He couldn't believe that he really needed to be here. All the civilian council side did was argue about how they should have more say, and how civilian building projects needed more money. The shinobi side was in the same boat as the Hokage. They just wanted it to be over. Hiruzen noticed something different about Danzo. He seemed almost what he would call smug. Knowing that's never a good thing, he figured that he must be up to something. He didn't have to wait long to find out either. Danzo stood. The final order of business on today's agenda is Naruto Uzumaki. Hiruzen just groaned. He knew it had to be something. And what, pray tell, is a Danzo-sen? It has been brought to my attention that you have sent him out of the village with only Wolf as a guard. Why were we not informed about his departure, and is it wise to send him with only 1 guard? If our enemies knew that an untrained was outside his village with only a single guard, they would take that as an invitation to either kill or capture him to use him against us. Danzo finished his speech with a look that Hiruzen thought was smug. Well, if you must know, I sent him to Jiraiya to have his seal checked for any degradation. Before he could continue, the civilians started shouting about how the seal must be getting weak, and they should use this as an opportunity to either execute or banish the demon. Silence. There will be no talk of banishing or executing Naruto. Do I make myself clear? He got only meek nods from those who had spoken out. Good. As I was saying, part of Yandame's instructions were that shortly after his 13th birthday, Naruto would need to be taken to Jiraiya to make sure the seal was performing like it should. He also stated that it could take between 6 to 24 months for a full check. The reason for this time frame was that Jiraiya would need to train him in the use of the Kyuubi's chakra in order to verify that everything worked out right. Now, are there any other questions? Why would Jiraiya-sama want to train the demon when he could train the Uchiha-sama? Shrieked a civilian counselor. The old Kage just sighed and said, are there any questions that are not completely idiotic? The counselor just huffed and glared at the old man, but spoke no further. You never answered my second question. Is it wise to send him out of the village with so little protection? Danzo thought about how he would soon have Naruto in his hidden facility, and Wolf would turn up dead, and he could make the old man look like a fool. What he didn't expect is that Hiruzen thought he might try something, and hope this would teach him. Wolf is more than adequate protection. He should have no problem with the 10-day journey to Jiraiya. If you require proof, just ask my personal guards. Just yesterday before they left, I had the 3 of them test him. He easily defeated all 3 at the same time. A testament to a new Anbu training program that we have been developing. Hiruzen smiled on the inside when he saw Danzo's eyes narrow. That's why he was a non-combat agent all this time. He was using him as a decoy to see if I would jump at the first chance to capture him. The 20 I sent would be hard-pressed to defeat his personal guard, and Wolf can defeat them with ease. You win this time, Hiruzen, Danzo thought. Sarutobi just sat there with a smug smile on the inside. He knew Danzo would try something. Too bad Danzo didn't know Naruto was really Wolf and had taken care of whoever Danzo sent himself. The meeting was adjourned, and Sarutobi went back to his office to find a fox waiting for him. After dropping a scroll on his desk, the fox disappeared, indicating that I was one of Naruto's summons. The fox summoning contract had been a birthday gift on his 10th from both his mom and Kurama. His mom was the only other signature on the contract. Sarutobi knew he rarely used it because he didn't want to have to answer any questions about it yet. Reading the scroll made him both angry and want to laugh. Angry Danzo had tried to both capture Naruto and kill Wolf, and wanted to laugh when Danzo realized none of his men were coming back. But Danzo 4 days later. We find Danzo sitting behind his desk in his secret lair, waiting for any word from his squad he sent after Wolf and the Uzumaki boy. He had expected them back yesterday at the latest. He had sent another squad after the first, as backup right after the council meeting, in hopes that they would be successful. It was now abundantly clear that he had truly underestimated this Wolf. As he was continuing to think about how he was going to train, a rude agent appeared in front of him. Report. We found the location of the battle. It contained large amounts of blood on the ground, 20 root masks, but nobody's. There was no sign of either target. Our attempts to track the target failed. No scent, chakra or physical trail of any kind left the scene. At the root, Danzo dismissed him. Danzo was now furious. It was clear that Hiruzen had not exaggerated the short Anbu's power. He would have to wait until Naruto was unguarded. Perhaps after his return he could find a way to properly kidnap him, or maybe after he graduated and took a mission outside the village. Then an idea struck him. What if he could get Naruto to come to him? What if he could make sure he offered the only path to becoming a ninja? No doubt the loud-mouthed boy would take it. With Naruto 9 days later. Naruto was still dressed as Wolf and kept a shadow clone out while traveling to keep up appearance until he was 5 days out of Konoha. After that he decided to just travel through the trees to make better time. When he met up with Jiraiya, he explained the situation and how he was off to do some training away from many people, so that if something happens he wouldn't hurt anyone. Jiraiya just acknowledged that it might be a good idea, then told him to be careful. Jiraiya had come back to Konoha after Naruto had revealed he knew who his parents were when he was 6. He had apologized to him and showed him how to sneak into his parents' house in order to read the stuff in the library, since the public would not let him in. He made a few other trips to Konoha, but had to stay away from Naruto in public. When he told Naruto they couldn't be seen together for his safety, he was a little depressed, but after explaining why he understood. Jiraiya had been away from the village for 2 years now, and had unknowingly created the perfect excuse for them to now know each other and be seen together. He was quite surprised at how strong Naruto was. Naruto headed for a rather large island between the land of water and the land of lightning. He found that it was uninhabited and would be a good place to start his training. After a day of rest the real work would begin. Academy 14 days after Naruto left. Iruka was once again doing roll call, and once again Naruto did not answer when his name was called. He had been informed that Naruto would be absent for an extended period of time, but his name was not removed from the roster. He feared if he allowed that the civilians would try to say it was evidence that he had been kicked out of the ninja program, and that he would never be allowed to graduate. Not that he really needed it because Hiruzen had made him an Anbu, but Naruto still had wanted to go through promotions the right way and keep Wolf a secret. When he called Naruto's name, Kiba spoke up. "Why do you keep calling that loser? It's not like he's ever coming back. He quit, plain and simple." Kiba and Naruto had never really gotten along because Naruto always had Hinata's attention and he wanted her to be his girlfriend, but every time he would ask, she would politely decline while stealing a glance at Naruto. Naruto and Hinata had become much closer publicly after she was banished, since it wouldn't reflect badly on the Hyuga anymore. His name is still on the list, meaning he is still part of this class. The Hokage informed me he would be absent for an extended period of time, but assured me he would not fall behind. As such, I still have to take his attendance. Iruka replied. "Then where did he go?" "I heard some people muttering in the market that he was exiled from the village," asked Sakura. She despised the boy at her mother's urging, and would take any chance to spread a rumor like this about him. "He was not exiled," Hinata stated firmly. While she didn't stutter in class, she was usually soft-spoken, so this was quite out of character for her. When everyone looked at her, she tried to shrink back in her seat. "And just how do you know that?" "My mother is on the council, and when I asked her, she just told me she wasn't allowed to say. If it wasn't true, she would have said so," Sakura replied with a sneer. "Hinata-san, do you know where Naruto is?" Iruka asked. "I'm not allowed to tell you where he went, only that he was sent to someone special for training and help with a condition. But I know for certain that he was not exiled and is most certainly not dead." The way Hinata spoke took them all off guard. Her voice held none of the shy and meek tones it usually did. Iruka noticed, but didn't say anything. Instead, what caught his attention was the way she had said condition. He decided to ask Hinata a question to see if she really knew. "Hinata-san, what do you know of this condition, as you put it?" All eyes seemed to be on either Iruka or Hinata. Her only answer was everything. "I see that we will waste no more time on this," he said before going back to roll call. The other students seemed a little confused, but decided to let it go. All but one, who everyone had assumed was sleeping at the time. What kind of condition would require Naruto to be out of the village for so long and need special training? It can't be medical. You don't train medical conditions away. It could be physical, but I have never seen Naruto hurt for more than a few hours, which in and of itself is weird. After mulling things over for a few more minutes and coming up with nothing, only one thought came to mind: troublesome. "Please come home soon, Naruto-kun. I miss you so much already," thought Hinata as Iruka got ready to begin the day's lessons. Elsewhere in the village, her thoughts were echoed by another. Naruto's island 8 months later. Naruto was getting ready to depart for the mainland for a supply run. He had come far in his training, but seemed to underestimate exactly how much he would end up eating. Learning to use Kurama's chakra took far more energy than he originally thought. He had made good progress though. He could use all 9 tails in version 1 cloak, and was up to 5 tails in a version 2 cloak. He only lost control twice, but when he did, he had caused some major damage. He was currently making his way to the mainland, heading to a town about 50 miles north of the land of Hot Springs' capital city. This is where he had bought supplies initially, and he at least knew where to purchase everything he needed. The trip was uneventful, and he made it to the town with no problems. He got a few strange looks because of the cloak and black wolf mask he had switched to after leaving Jiraiya, in order to not be identified as a member of Konoha's Anbu. It frightened the owners of the store at first, but when he paid for everything at the asking price with no haggling, and left them in peace, they saw him as no threat. He figured it would only take him another 4 months to complete his training, and then a month after that to finish the few missions Gigi had given him, and he would be able to get home to see Hinata and Anko. He was beginning to think he was falling for both of them, and it had left him very confused. As he was mulling the situation over in his head, his return trip was about to get very interesting. Kurama was simply laying in the grass in Naruto's mindscape when he felt another chakra nearby. It was not headed for them, but it would pass close by. He wasn't going to inform Naruto until he figured out who it was and what they were doing. As it came closer, he realized it was Shimei, and that her host was running with a tremendous amount of fear. Her host also appeared to be a young girl only a few years older than Naruto. Making up his mind, he spoke to Naruto. "Kid, you need to flare my chakra 3 times. Once quick, once for 2 seconds, and then quick once more." "What? Why do I need to do that?" Naruto asked the fox, confused at the sudden order. "Do it now. I will explain afterward," Kurama roared back. Naruto did so, not knowing what had gotten into Kurama. He never demanded such things. "After flaring the chakra now, do you mind telling me what is going on?" he asked the fox. "My sister Chimei and her vessel are in trouble a few miles north of us. They are running from some people who are intent on killing them. The flare pattern lets her know that we are here and will help." "Oh, I get it. It was a signal. But what if her vessel is a criminal? I can't be killing her pursuers as she is the bad guy in this situation," Naruto responded. "We shall cross that bridge when we come to it. It is very painful to be unsealed because of a vessel's death. I would save her that pain if I can." Naruto just gave an internal nod. He would try to stop anyone from hurting his own loved ones if it was in his power. So, he turned toward the presence he now felt coming towards him, and waited while disabling his seals to put him at full strength, but kept his chakra suppressing seal on like he did almost all the time now. But she made 5 minutes earlier. She can't keep this up. She has never used my chakra like this before, and it's been 3 days. I just don't know what to do. Chimay thought of trying to come up with a way to help her vessel. Her vessel had been running for 3 days, and nights straight after they had attempted to kill her for no reason. Now they were both at the end of their rope. She couldn't push much more chakra before it started doing more harm than good, and their pursuers were relentless. Chimay was about to give up when she felt a familiar chakra. Then she felt the flare pattern, and nearly made her vessel trip after cheering so loudly in her head. Chimay, what gives? Have you finally figured out a way to lose these guys? Lose them? No. Get rid of them, yes. When I tell you, turn south, and sprint for everything you're worth. He is only 2 miles south. Feeling confused, she just nodded. She would take anything at this point to stop running. Wait. Who is he, and what makes you think he will help us? Chimay's only response was, my brother would never abandon family. The way she said it made her vessel cringe a little. She knew what Chimay meant. Another was there. Now Fu. Fu turned south, and poured as much of Chimay's chakra as she could handle into her legs, and made for the other. The move surprised her pursuers, who nearly managed to grab her when she changed directions. With how spread out they were, she barely made it past the end of their line. If not for the Biju chakra, they would have had her. She started to pull away from them, but they knew it wouldn't last. This was the last-ditch effort to get away from them, but with the amount of chakra she was leaving behind, any decent sensor could follow her. Just as she was about to the spot Chimay told her he would be, she stumbled and fell from the trees. Her legs had finally given out as she plummeted to the ground. She knew it wouldn't kill her, but it would hurt, and she was done being able to run. They would catch her, do Kami know what to her, then kill her, and she would be too weak to resist. She closed her eyes and waited for the pain. Instead of pain, she felt 2 arms catch her, and suddenly she was moving again, and slowly descending through the trees, until she knew they were on the ground. Not wanting to look at who her captor was, she scrunched up her eyes, waiting for whatever they had planned, only to hear a deep and gentle voice speak to her. Are you okay, miss? Her eyes flew open to see a figure in a black wolf mask looking down at her. She wanted to scream until Chimay spoke up. It's him, Fu. The one who contains my brother. You're safe, he won't hurt you. Who are you? Fu asked the masked man. For now, just call me Wolf Fu-Sen. I will explain after we deal with our company. The man told her, as they were surrounded by the men who had been chasing her. Wolf recognized them as Taki Anbu. During this happening, Fu had realized that he was holding her bridal style and clutching her to his chest, protectively making her blush a little. It made her feel safe. After they had been surrounded, one walked forward. He was undoubtedly the leader. Thank you for capturing the demon for us. If you would just hand her over, we will be on our way, said the Anbu. Naruto growled behind his mask, hearing what they called her. Only Fu heard him though. What do you mean, demon? And why, may I ask, were so many Anbu chasing just one girl? Asked the masked man calmly while not moving. She is a demon, and is to be executed for multiple charges of theft and conspiring to corrupt our village leader. The Anbu replied, full of confidence that the man would see things his way. And if he didn't, it didn't really matter. The man was obviously no match for them. His chakra level was that of a civilian, and a weak one at that. Naruto always kept his chakra suppressing seal partially activated to fool people. Fu-Sen here is no more a demon than a sealing scroll as a kunai. She certainly didn't seal the Nanabi inside herself. This caused the Anbu to back up. This man figured out his words immediately, and even guessed correctly on which Biju she contained. As for the thefts, he looked down at Fu for an explanation. It was only food, since they stopped selling it to me 3 weeks ago. I didn't know what else to do. They wouldn't let me leave to go to a surrounding village to buy any food, so I had to do something, she said meekly with begging eyes. So, she is to be executed because she refused to starve to death. The question made the Anbu angry. He didn't like being questioned by this man, and he certainly didn't have to answer him. She has also been corrupting our village leader. She uses demonic ways to gain his favor. The man nearly shouted. Sighing, Wolf just said, you really are that stupid, aren't? It wasn't a question. Enraged at the last statement, he signaled another Anbu behind the man to kill him. The Anbu crept up and attempted to stab him, only to hit air, and the man was gone. I see words will not be enough, he said from behind the leader, still holding Fu, who was confused at how they had gotten here. It was so fast she was only able to process the feeling of the wind, then she was looking at the leader from behind. Fu-Sen here is now under my protection. Return to your village, and we shall have no more problems. Take this. He took Fu's waterfall forehead protector, and threw it to the leader, and tell your leaders she has retired, and will not be returning. Leave now, and you shall keep your lives. Try to take her, and I shall return your heads to your leader. Wolf finished up his threat with an edge to his voice. Who do you think you are? We have orders, and that little bitch is coming with us, and for your little threat so are you. Maybe there's a good bounty on you. The leader sneered. Naruto just sighed, and made a seamless shadow clone before handing Fu to it. The sensor in the group went pale behind his mask. The man had almost no chakra signature, but in the moment he made the shadow clone he felt his real chakra level. It was like he reached into a well that had no bottom, and pulled out the barest sliver, in order to make a clone that he knew required a lot of chakra. It was a secret technique of the Leaf Village, but only their strongest ever used it, because it could nearly kill most Chunins just to make a few. Hawk. We should listen to him, said a rat-masked man. Hawk being the leader. What are you talking about? Hawk asked. His chakra. He is hiding it. When he made that clone, I felt it. 10 using hero water would still pale in comparison to his chakra levels. Rat told him hoping he would listen. You must be mistaken. He is barely a civilian in terms of chakra. The hawk-masked leader replied thinking Rat had lost it completely, discounting the part where he said the man was hiding his chakra. You should listen to your friend. If you attack me or Fuse then I will not hesitate to end you. I am willing to let your earlier transgression slide if you just leave. Wolf told them. Having heard enough, Hawk ordered 4 of the other members to attack. 3 charged at him while 1 went for his shadow clone, and Fu. Wolf moved faster than they could see, and soon there were 4 headless bodies on the ground, and Wolf standing between them, and the rest with a bloody sword. Fu nearly threw up. The fact that she had only bile in her stomach was the only thing that stopped her. Looking at the remaining 16 he asked, does anyone else feel like trying? He asked only to see them all get into a fighting stance. I was afraid of that. Fu-san, please close your eyes. I don't want you to have to see this. His voice was gentle, but commanding, and she closed her eyes. Wolf quickly went through the hand seal for his noose, and called out Futon wind blades with the clap of his hands. Thousands of invisible blades of air sliced the Anbu force to nothing. They were given no chance to evade, as they came at them much too fast. All Fu heard were pain screams for a few seconds before everything went quiet. He quickly gathered up all the heads, and sealed them away. They piled up the bodies, and burned them with the fireball jutsu. Okay Fu-san, you can open your eyes. When she did she was surprised to see the forest in front of them was destroyed for 40 yards, and there was no sign of the Anbu that had chased her here, other than lots of blood on the ground. Are you injured Fu-san? He asked in a caring voice. Fu just looked at him in awe. Nothing, that won't heal soon. Just really tired, and really hungry, she said weakly. Here, Wolf said, handing her a ration bar. It doesn't taste very good, but it's the fastest way to get some nutrition into your system. I will set up somewhere for you to sleep. When you are rested we can talk more. After eating her ration bar, and laying down in the tent that was set up for her, she fell asleep almost instantly. When Fu woke up she felt a little sore, but was otherwise doing much better. She saw that the sun had just risen a little over an hour ago, meaning she had slept the rest of the day, and the whole night. She slowly made her way out of the tent smelling bacon. When she got out she saw the man she came to know as Wolf, and finally took in his appearance. He had a black wolf mask, and was wearing a black hooded cloak. He turned to look at her, and held up a plate filled with eggs, bacon, and sausage. She hurriedly took it after Chimay once again assured her she was safe with him. After she finished eating she decided she needed to ask some questions. Who are you? Call me Wolf for now. Chimay has no doubt told you I am, as well. After we take care of a few things I will show you who I really am. Until then please just be patient. It will only be a few days. He answered. What do we have to take care of? She asked nervously. Well, first we have to go to Taki, make your retirement there official, then I will take you wherever you want to go after you know who I really am. He said calmly, all the while noticing Fu's increasingly frightened demeanor. But if I go back they will kill me. You saw what they tried to do before. I ran for 3 days straight without any breaks. She practically yelled. That is impressive. He said calmly. Well, she just gave him a look like he was crazy. Running for 3 days non-stop. Fu just sweat dropped. That is what he got out of that, she thought before Wolf continued. But your worry is misplaced. No harm will come to you while you are under my protection. Not if those fools in Taki want to live, he said in a darker tone of voice. Fu just repressed a shudder. She didn't really have any friends, but all the same she didn't want people to die needlessly. He assured her he would not harm anyone who didn't deserve it, and then said no more before setting out for Taki. Wolf sent a shadow clone telling them when he would be back in around 5 days, and that he would like to meet with the council when he arrived. After some arrangements were made he said he would have a guest with him before he surprised them all when he simply poofed out of existence. Takikakure 5 days later. Naruto had given Fu a cloak and a mask like his, so she wouldn't draw any attention. Her cloak was lined with suppression seals to hide who she was. When they arrived, they were quickly brought to the main administration building in Taki. From there it was only a short wait to get into their council room, in which all of them had been gathered. He had switched back to his white Anbu wolf mask, so he could more easily be identified. First off, I would like to thank you for seeing me on such short notice, and several weeks early. I had not planned to show up for about 14 days, but a certain event demanded I move up this visit. I am here, as an emissary of the Hokage of Konoha no Sato, to discuss a possible treaty and alliance. Wolf started out in a polite way while still commanding respect. Welcome to Taki started by Shibuki, the village leader. Just call me Wolf for now. Wolf-san, is it possible for you to remove your mask? We would prefer to do business face to face. I am afraid I can't do that. I'm actually one of two who hold the rank of Special Anbu, and, as such only my Hokage is allowed to view my face unless I am in his presence, and he commands it. Very well Wolf-san, what is the message and terms you bring? Wolf handed him a copy, and they were all very pleased with the terms until they read that there was one to be named by Wolf, after they decided if they could agree to the rest. It was also made clear that if Wolf's requirement was not acceptable, they were under no obligation to keep to the other terms. It was quite generous, and would benefit the village greatly. After 10 minutes amongst themselves Shibuki spoke again. These terms are very agreeable. What is the one you prefer to deliver yourself? It's simple. I just wish to meet with you to see if they are in good health and being treated properly. If they are, then all is well, and it would have my approval. Naruto saw them flinch, and could feel the awe-inspired look behind Fu's mask. He would have been here in 2 more weeks to make sure she was being treated properly. She couldn't fathom how someone she had never met would care about her. None of them spoke for several minutes. Is this term a problem? He asked in a neutral tone. Well, as of right now we are currently out of the village on a long-term mission. We are unsure of when she will be back. Shibuki lied. Fu couldn't believe what she was hearing. He knew she was being hunted. The chase had started in his office. That's okay. If you could give me the area of operation of her mission, I will seek her out on my own. I am a pretty decent sensor and tracker. This made them even more nervous. I am sorry, but we can't give you that information. We still have our village security to think about. When do you expect her to be back? I could simply return at that time or just wait for her here if that is okay. Wolf wanted to see how far they would try to go. We do not know when she is expected back. It could be several months, replied Shibuki, starting to calm down. He would have months to think up a mission that would be dangerous and warranted being away for months. Then he would simply say she died on the mission. Well, that is too long for me to wait. I should be able to track her down in a week or 2. I will start as soon as we are finished here. Wolf just watched the sweat roll down the sides of their heads. They didn't want him poking around in this matter. But you could place her in unnecessary danger if you interfere. I must implore you to let her be. He really didn't want Konoha to back out of a deal that would make them very wealthy in a few years. Don't worry, I won't put her in any more danger than she was. When the Anbu said was, several caught that and wondered just what he meant. Wolf just turned to Fu and signaled her to remove her mask and cloak. Hesitating for a moment until Chimera reassured her, she revealed herself to the council. Now, would anyone care to revise their story? This time he was not polite. The Waterfall Council had no idea what to say. She had been standing there the whole time and heard every word of their deceit. Before they could regain their wits, Wolf continued. I found her being hunted by 20 Anbu from your village. I assumed they had to be traitors after speaking with them. He explained the entire conversation with them. Am I to believe that what they said was the truth? Fu meanwhile had been in a nervous sweat. He was laying out everything they had just lied to him about, and they could not refute it. She was worried they may have a violent reaction. And what exactly happened to my Anbu? The ones you described have not been seen in over a week. Asked Shibuki, a little upset that this emissary from another village would dare question how he ran his village. So, are you saying they really were following orders? Wolf asked in a menacing tone. Now Shibuki was not a stupid man. The coward maybe, but not stupid. I am not about to release any information about any mission any of my Anbu may or may not have been performing, replied Shibuki, thinking that he had sidestepped the question. Well, in that case, if you must know, they are all dead. Wolf replied with no emotion. Shibuki stiffened, as did the rest of the council. Losing 20 Anbu in a village the size of Taki was devastating. That was just over a fifth of the entire Anbu force. Wolf continued, after I told them Fu-san was under my protection, after I realized what and who she was, they attacked me. I reacted in self-defense. Nothing more, nothing less. Here, he said, taking out a scroll, is a scroll containing their heads and masks. I destroyed their bodies to save you the trouble of having to send a team to do it. You have the nerve to come in here after killing over a fifth of my Anbu, bringing back only their heads, and asking for a treaty. Not only that, but mislead us. Well, you know all along that the person you seek is standing right beside you. Shibuki was now yelling. You and they didn't leave me much of a choice, and you sat there and lied to my face about it. You are the only ones in the wrong here in any way. I gathered a little info before this meeting, and I can say without fear of contradiction, you are a coward. Having heard enough, Shibuki exploded. Anbu seized him. Kill him. She is to be imprisoned until we can find a suitable vessel to hold our weapon. With that order, 30 Anbu rushed them, attempting to carry out his orders. Naruto knew he could not kill men simply for following the orders of a coward, even though it seems he had already done so earlier, which he now felt very bad about. He just put his hand on Fu's shoulder and activated his eyes, then whispered Kumai. As soon as they became intangible, several Anbu stabbed at the wolf only to pass right through him, barely managing to miss each other in their surprise. The two that tried to grab Fu ran face first into each other, almost knocking themselves out. After spending over a minute trying to touch the two in some way, it became clear that it would not work to cease their actions. That Shibuki was the action of a coward. Now if you are quite finished, I would like to get back to business. Seeing as how you attempted to attack and kill me for my actions, even though I have the right to defend myself, and I have diplomatic immunity, not to mention this all took place in the land of hot springs, and not the land of waterfalls. I have some terms that you will agree to if you want to live to see tomorrow. With this he released his chakra masking seal, and flared in making the floor crack. He also raised his killing intent so high all the ninja in the room had a hard time standing, let alone moving, while the civilians' minds couldn't handle it, and they passed out foaming at the mouth. They now understood just where they stood with this man, and Fu was absolutely astonished. He had been hiding all of this the entire time. I have offered Fu-san a new home in Konoha as she wants, but promised to get her away from here no matter what. You will grant her a pardon, and a free retirement from Taki's shinobi forces without prejudice, so she may go where she pleases without having a price on her head or being considered a missing nin. These are my terms. Fu had started to sob, and Wolf had turned away from Shibuki to comfort her. Fu-san, look at me. It's going to be okay. Sometimes we learn that people we thought cared are really just cowards with a title trying to protect their power. Fu sniffled a little before responding, it's not just that. This is the only home I have ever known. I really wanted to make them see me as something other than Biju sealed inside me. I know, but sometimes one door closes and a better one opens. It's just hard to see sometimes. Naruto comforted her. I can't just let you take the Nanabi from Taki. We would be without our greatest weapon. Shibuki managed to get out in between labored breaths. The Biju are not weapons. They are living beings that deserve respect. When Fu-san dies of old age after living a long happy life surrounded by her friends and possibly family, if Nanabi wishes to return her, it will. Wolf responded. Besides, you don't have a choice. You can't risk war with Konoha, and it would just be cruel to force Fu-san to remain where only pain and hatred await her. Not to mention I am sure you would try to execute her before I even made it halfway to the border if I let her stay. He was once again flaring his kite to get his point across. Very well. I will release Fu from her duties and allow her to go free without prejudice. But I will also be declaring you persona non grata in the land of waterfalls. Should you set foot in our borders again after leaving, you will be killed on sight. Do you understand? Wolf just nodded and replied, you can try, much to the irritation of Shibuki and the others. Also, you will not allow what happened here to spread. If people in her new village find out about her, I will know it is from this village, and they will be held to pay. Fu was just in awe of what he was doing for her. He fulfilled every promise he made to her on their way there. Quickly getting everything together for Fu, he had all the papers made up and signed. Within 20 minutes Fu and Wolf were leaving the gates of the village. Fu with a sad smile. Sad to be leaving the only home she ever knew, and happy to be free at last. So, Fu-san, where would you like me to take you? She was brought up short. She knew he said she would be free, but she thought that meant free to join Konoha. Aren't you taking me to the Leaf Village? She asked, confused. I will if that is your wish, but I will not force you. I told you before I do not go back on my word, and I said I would take you wherever you wanted to go. That sealed it for her. If there were more people in Konoha like him, then that is where she wanted to live. Take me to Konoha. As you wish. I have a few months left of my missions, and will only be able to take you as far as seeing the gates. I will send word of your arrival, and have everything prearranged before we get there. So, will you show me who you really are before? Fu was really curious. It also just now crossed her mind that Chimay had never said which Biju was sealed in him. Tomorrow after we are in Fire Country. We are being followed right now. Seems that coward really wants me dead. With that they increased the pace. Outside Konoha 4 days later. Naruto bid Fu farewell once they got inside of the gates. He has shown her his true identity, and told her the penalty for revealing it. She swore to never do so. She was far too grateful to him for everything he had done. She was no longer sad about leaving Taki after he told her that nobody would know of Chimay unless she told them. He gave her 2 letters with names on them, and said she would most likely meet them soon, as they would be her new neighbors. He then gave her a scroll with a seal in the shape of a wolf's head to give to the gate guards, and she would be let in right away. So, she found herself approaching the gates when sure enough she was stopped by the eternal duo. Halt. State your name and business here in Konoha. Called out Izumo. My name is Fu, and I was told to give you this, and you would understand. She said, handing them the scroll. They instantly called forth a squad of Anbu. At first Fu was scared until she heard the exchange between them. She has a wolf scroll. Izumo said to the Anbu, who just nodded, and turned to the rest of the squad. She is to be protected at all costs, and escorted to the Hokage. He turned to face her. Whenever you are ready, Fuyue-san, I will be happy to show you the way. Fuyue was definitely not used to being treated this way. She was not being stared at with hate or fear. She was being respected and considered important, and she hadn't even actually entered the village yet. She just nodded to the Anbu, and followed him, not trusting her voice not to crack. It was a decent walk through the village to the tower. She realized that people were smiling at her, and some of the boys were even checking her out. She was rather proud of her figure. She was 16, and about 5'6" tall, toned like any good kunoichi, with a generous C-cup bust. Dressed in her usual outfit, AN. If you haven't noticed, I don't really describe anyone's outfits because, as I read stories, I find myself just picturing how they are in the anime and manga. I only describe it if it is radically different, and then only a brief description, because everyone's imagination is going to be better than what I come up with. Which showed off her body. She didn't know how to describe the feeling she got from it. She wasn't sure she liked it. Naruto had looked her over, but she knew he had been a caring look, and was mainly making sure she wasn't injured. Chimei snickered in Fuyue's mind. She doesn't even see she is getting a little crush on Kurama's vessel, thought the seven-tailed Biju. Fuyue just ignored it, as they were entering the tower. After a short wait, and being shown into the Hokage's office, she saw him dismiss his Anbu, and do a few hand signs before the walls glowed a light blue for a second. Then he addressed her. You must be Fuyue. He started in a kind old voice that made Fuyue feel comfortable. She just nodded in response. Naruto told me you would be here today. He told me what happened in Taki, and before. I am sorry you had to go through that. Fuyue just quietly thanked him for his kind words. He didn't say he was a little mad at Naruto for the whole situation, but nonetheless agreed with his actions. That leads me to the reason for this meeting. Naruto told me you might be interested in becoming a shinobi of Konoha. Now before you respond, know that you will never be forced to be a ninja. If you wish to remain a civilian, and take up a normal peaceful life, I will not stop you. He could see the confusion in her eyes. You mean you would just be a civilian, and not want to use them as a weapon? Fuyue thought all villages were like that. Heck, Naruto was probably the strongest person she had ever met, so she had no reason to think differently. He could see what Fuyue was thinking. Naruto chose to be a ninja. It has always been his dream. He wants to protect his friends. But Konoha has never used it as a weapon. Not to brag, but we have won all 3 wars, and never used them to do it. I would never start now. He answered in a jovial tone. I think I would still like to be a ninja. I always wanted the respect and adventure that comes with it, even if I have to deal with the not so glamorous parts. She said with a smile that slowly turned to a frown. Very well. Naruto has told me you were in Taki. I am willing to give you a chance to earn that rank here with a test. Of course, you will have a 6-month probationary period just like anyone from another village would. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just to give your new comrades a chance to get to know you, and build trust in you. Besides, because of some somewhat recent changes to our academy, most of our chains are about 2 years older than you, and our academy graduates are your age. He just gave her a look that said don't ask when she went to question him on why. After giving her papers to sign, and getting everything squared away, he gave her the address of her new home. She was shown to her new place, and was rather skeptical seeing the outside. It looked old, and run down. She made her way to the top floor, and it still didn't seem to look any better. She was beginning to feel like she had been fooled because this looked no better than where she lived in Taki. When she got to her apartment number, and opened it, she couldn't believe it. The inside looked like it was part of a brand new building. Everything was new, and all the furniture was there. She just stood in the door shell-shocked. Why did the outside look so run down when the inside was so beautiful? As she was staring, she became aware of a presence beside her, and tapped her on the shoulder. What Fuyue said, as she became aware the person next to her was speaking. I said, what are you doing here? This is a private building. Looking at the person, she quickly realized this was one of the girls that Naruto had described. From the eyes, she determined it must be the former Hyuga named Hinata. He never really elaborated on why she was a former Hyuga. Hinata for her part was trying to stay calm. The Hokage had sold the building to Naruto a few months before he left, and he made it a safe and comfortable place for all of them, going so far as remodeling all the upper apartments, and replacing all the appliances. Hinata and Anko had insisted on paying, but he said he would just get his money back when they had all moved out, and he rented it out. Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Fuyue. You must be Hinata. Hinata just gave him a curt nod. Naruto asked me to give you this. She held out the letter with Hinata's name on it, and it was gone so fast she didn't see Hinata move. How do you know Naruto, and why are you here? Hinata wasn't taking any chances when it came to her man. Wait, when did I start thinking of him as my man? She thought before clearing her head. Wolf rescued me, and brought me here. That had been enough for Hinata to grant her a little leeway. She opened the letter, and read it. With her Byakugan on so she could also see Fuyue. It explained what happened that led to Fu being there when he would be back, and it ended with "I can't wait to see you, and Anko again. It feels so lonely without you here. Missing you, Naruto." Hinata was so happy she could burst. Naruto would be home in a few months or less, and really wanted to see her. She wanted to see him too. She did a complete 180 with Fu, and quickly welcomed her. She explained how only her, Naruto, and a special jonin named Anko lived here, and that Naruto actually owned the building. Fu was in shock. He set her up in a beautiful apartment that he owned, and her new neighbors would most likely be friendly, seeing as they were good friends of Naruto, and it was obvious they knew he was a. Hinata helped Fu settle in, and showed her everything in the apartment. She offered to show her around town when she wanted. After saying goodbye to Fu, she headed back to her own apartment to clean up, and make dinner, all the while thinking about Naruto's return. She and Anko had a big surprise for him when he got home. With Naruto. Naruto was heading this time towards water country. He figured that he could find a nice island close to the land of noodles that was uninhabited, and so he would have a shorter trip home. He also wanted to see if the civil war in the country was over. He found an island that seemed to be peaceful and deserted, and set up his camp. Tomorrow he will start training again, hoping to finish it soon. Little did he know peace was the last thing he would find in water country. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.